is a home appraisal? An appraisal is an unbiased professional opinion of a home's value. Now, if you were to look it up online, they would tell you that they were almost always in use. However, I must say that in the last few years, it has been very uncommon to have an appraisal to be brought in. Now, since the end of May in 2023, home prices had started to drop in Toronto and the GT areas, and also across the country for that matter. Now we're starting to see appraisals return. Most of the time we see appraisals for homes that have been sold, and the buyer's lender is requesting an appraisal to make sure that the value of the home is still current from when they bought it. Now, the reason for this is that if there was a big gap between when the property was sold and when it's closing, the appraisal may come in lower than what the agreed upon price was in the contract. Therefore, this means the lender may have to adjust the amount of funds they can provide to the buyer to purchase the home. Now, most of the time, the buyer is still able to close on the property. I would say that's usually how it happens, but what happens if they don't have the additional funds? Perhaps they can borrow some money from family or friends. Otherwise, they can walk away from the deal. Now, this is not the ideal scenario. I'm not suggesting that. You could be held up in court for a few years if or when you get your funds back. And don't forget about the legal fees too, which could be thousands of dollars. Now, some ways for you to avoid this situation is to have your lender get an appraisal ordered in the process, like early in the process, and maybe consider a shorter closing date in case the market continues to drop. Now, another option would be to avoid using up all of your funds towards the home purchase. Leave yourself a little buffer just in case. Worst case scenario is trying to renegotiate with the seller, but I would try to avoid that. In my experience, it doesn't always go well. I'm here to help if you have any questions about this. Take care.